suffocates, whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood. Blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall. One wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
Well, hello there, everyone out there in YouTube land. It's wonderful to be here with you tonight. Let me get rid of that thing. Can you all hear me? May I have a 1 in the chat, please? Trying to make sure everyone out there can hear. All right. Okay. Good. Yay. We're rocking and rolling here. So, welcome to the den, everyone. Welcome to Devil's Advocates Sunday edition. While DA is away, the mice will play a little bit anyway. So, I hope everyone had a fantastic Sunday. And it's always wonderful to be here with you guys. I'm just looking through here, looking for some names. I see we have Silence Unchained, of course. Welcome, welcome. Kimberly, welcome. We got Avery, 1-1, of course. He's in the house. He'll be up here in just a few moments. We have one of our awesome mods, S.E. Michael. Another one of our awesome mods, Amanda B. Amanda B also does a lot of our graphics work here on the channel, of course, as well as many, many, many other things. We got Sunshine in Notes. We have Ange K Crime. Looks like Star. Hi, how are you doing? We got Becca. Stickers. All right. Some of you folks I recognize like from our Discord and so forth. I know you guys are excited to talk some Luigi. We have some Luigi stuff to talk about tonight. We got a little Idaho 4. And whatever else, who knows what all we may get into. So we got Reagan McNeil. Good to see you. I'm not familiar a whole lot with that name. We got Lisa Marie. I'm scrolling back up, folks. I'm scrolling here. We have DL in South Carolina. And all right. Great, great, great. So, like I said, we have some Idaho 4. We have some Luigi planned for you. And please go ahead, like the video. Share it if you so choose. That would be wonderful. That really helps the channel out. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel because there's lots and lots of good stuff that is going to be coming your way this week and every week. So lots of things are kind of popping off. We have of course, Idaho 4. We have the suppression hearings for Luigi. Some things are kind of happening, I believe, behind the scenes with the Lisk case, or Long Island serial killer, for those who may not know sort of the nickname, I guess you want to say, for it. So, but all right, and without further ado, I'm going to bring one to the stage here. There we go. How are you tonight? Your mic is muted.
There we go.
There we are.
Yes. How's everyone doing in the den? How are you doing? Yeah, it was a busy day.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Yeah. All right.
I literally got in like 10 minutes ago. So Robin and I did prepare a bunch of stuff for tonight. You know, as she said, is Lee is away. Robin and 1-1 will play. So we try to bring, we've had a very heavy Idaho 4 week and a half.
Yeah.
It's just tons of different info coming out. I would, all these different videos, audios, whatnot. I know it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Even stuff with it doesn't exactly give us maybe specific answers to some of the stuff we still want, but even the stuff coming out about Murphy I find pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of the things, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit last night, but maybe it's because I'm a dog lover. I really find the whole dog thing to be kind of fascinating because there's a lot that dogs can tell you about crime scenes, so to speak. And one thing I found that I really hadn't given a whole lot of thought, and I kind of like your thoughts on this as well as maybe the audience, that dogs can kind of, in a sense, maybe even provide, and like as a witness, provide I guess maybe like an alibi in a sense, that, and it kind of makes me wonder that, okay, I know, all right, we're going to speculate a little bit. Okay, there's all this speculation about Jack very possibly taking Murphy from the scene, and that Murphy wasn't even there, but then someone bringing Murphy back, whether it's Jack that took him, whoever. It kind of makes, is that one of the reasons they brought Murphy back, was to somehow provide an alibi because we know Bethany said that, you know, Maddie took the dog out. But if the dog wasn't there at the time she's saying that Maddie took the dog out, that, I mean, there again, we're talking timeline. So
Right.
I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Definitely. I think many people were just kind of keen on the they were all about the 410 to 420 or 417, right? When we start hearing
Right,
the dog bark and whatnot.
right,
And as Lee mentioned many times, I mean, I don't believe the state or MPD or anyone ever specifically said definitively, oh, that was Murphy. That was just kind
right,
of like thrown around uh, by mainstream media, social media. So
right,
we all know Kaylee and Jack shared a dog, so everyone's like, oh,
right,
that must have been Murphy. But yeah,
right,
you have to think I mean, this is like this is bigger than common sense. Murphy had no DNA on him, no blood,
nope,
nothing.
nope,
You get 4 people murdered, some blood all over. Although we know the crime scene was messed with, doctored, or whatever happened there. Murphy would have some kind of blood on his paws somewhere. Somewhere on him would be
right,
some kind of evidence. There's nothing.
right,
So that has to tell you either he was locked in a room,
mm-hmm,
away, like, or he wasn't there. Now, here's the problem that I have about going down the path. Oh, because I believe, I'm pretty sure, I think that this was kind of the narrative that was pushed out there for a long time, was that Murphy was put in some kind of travel cage or something, and he was actually in Kaylee's bedroom, or,
yeah,
well, here's the issue. Here's the problem with that. If you want to believe, so we have no evidence, right, that Koberger was ever in the house, right? So
right,
if
right.
we're gonna
Can't place him
say
there, no
now,
question, no
now
nothing.
I understand you could say, well, maybe the perpetrator is someone that the dog knew. Yes, that is possible. That is a scenario. But if we're gonna go by that, the mainstream narrative that Koberger is he's the perpetrator, or
Mm-hmm,
that this happened he got there 406 and 4. So anyone who's a dog person knows that dogs have a very, very keen sense of smell, and
right,
they could pay. There's no way that a stranger got into this house and was massacring people, on 2 different floors, and then the dog is just going to start barking at 417. It
right,
makes zero sense.
right.
Um, if I'm just reading, if Murphy was put on the balcony, what was that comment?
Oh, wait a
If
minute.
I was just, wow, if Murphy was put on the
Yeah,
balcony, yeah, but here's the thing. If Murphy was put on the balcony, then wouldn't you expect him to start barking at 4? Because they're not saying that that the timeline is not that Koberger entered the premise at 417, right?
no, they're saying he
So
left shortly
you tell me,
around that time, shortly
right.
after.
You tell me what kind of dog is just going to start barking when he's leaving. So
Right.
I could tell you what a scenario to me that makes sense would be that, again, like you may say, well, if it's another dog in the area, how come they didn't bark? So you have to put you got to think logically, okay? So
Mhm.
we know 1260 Walenta, right? I'm pretty sure had 2 dogs, okay? So
Right.
I'm just saying, let's say for instance, it is Koberger and he gets there at 4:06. Well,
Mhm.
and that property in the back, I believe, like part of like the fence, it kind of almost touches the back of 1122. That's my
Right. Yeah,
understanding
pretty much.
from what I
Yeah.
saw. So let's say that Koberger gets there at 4:06, and maybe so those dogs in the back, maybe they're not outside.
Right.
They're inside. They don't, they
Right.
don't even know he's there. Now, later on, when Koberger leaves at 4:17, or let's say he goes to exit right out of the sliding glass doors that
Mhm.
I believe would then face right the backyard. I'm pretty sure I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
So, and now the dogs are in the back. They happen to be
Right.
outside. They're there. So now
Right.
they start barking. That is a very likely scenario to me.
And
I don't like
I
to.
would agree with that.
Right. I don't like to say. I don't like to. As following by the boss's lead. We don't like to say things 100% unless we know
No.
100%. So I'm not
Right.
going to say 100%. However, I did watch the video that Lana put out on
Yeah.
Murphy. I think she's
She did
very.
an excellent
I
job with
think
the
she's on
dog.
the money there.
Yep.
A car.
Yeah.
Right, a car seems to leave around whatever it was, 4:50 something, and then all of a sudden
Right.
the
The
barking
dogs.
stops. Right.
Because that makes sense. That would make sense if the perpetrators leave and they take the dog back in. The dog's not going to keep. Or I think there were 2 dogs. It sounded like a bigger
Yes.
dog and a slightly smaller dog. I
Yeah.
do agree with her.
Well, they said
There
it
were the 2
right,
dogs.
right. But
So
my big thing is that um Murphy would have been barking pretty quickly with a stranger coming in. You know, like just what tiptoeing around the house and whatever, going Murphy, we would have heard. I'm pretty sure we would have heard the dog, but I don't believe Murphy was there.
or
So
I don't either, and I'll tell you why. Okay, like our guy, he is my Velcro dog.
yeah,
Like I can't go anywhere. Oh God, here he comes. All I have to do is looking. All I have to, and he's almost the same kind of breed as Murphy. McGee is a Bernedoodle, so he's Bernese Mountain Dog and Standard Poodle. Whereas Murphy was a Golden Doodle, Golden Retriever, and Poodle. So just they're known for that kind of behavior, the doodle type dogs. They're and as close as he was with Kaylee, just judging from anything you've ever heard, any kind of videos you've seen, pictures, um, you now like him, he is a little shy around people. Like he will bark somewhat, but Murphy was so used to people coming in and out of that place. However, I'm sure that he followed Kaylee wherever she went, whenever she was home.
right,
That is the kind of dog that he impresses me as. And the same way with McGee, he follows me everywhere when I'm home. He works with me. I work from home, so he works with me during the day, and
right,
everything. So even if such a traumatic thing had happened here at home, I know that if he was loose, he would have tried to get to me. And in
right,
that scenario, I cannot imagine that dog would not have traipsed through the house in and out of blood or whatever. So I agree. I don't think that he was there at the time. So and retrievers, they tend, and he was part retriever. They tend to be very, very protective of their owners. As do many, many, many dog breeds. So yeah, just knowing all that, I don't believe that he was there, which is certainly for him a blessing. I'm glad he didn't have to be there. Hopefully that was the case, but you kind of and see, they had to bring him back because where else would the dog have gone? Unless they had tried somehow to say that he just ran away, and that would have been those are the only two choices they would have had, was either to bring him back or to lie and say that he got away, and so
Right.
but
And
yeah,
the weird thing too is, since Jack and Kaylee, they shared the dog, right? So
right.
if he had picked up the dog, like why didn't he just hold on to the dog,
Well, right, but that would have placed him at the house. If he said, "Oh yeah, no, I have the dog," well, how'd you get him? When did you get him?
Right.
When did you pick
No,
the
I
dog
get
up?
that. Right. No, it's just like a weird, right. It's just kind of an awkward thing, because obviously we know Murphy was brought to the house. So what is this?
Right.
There is one issue with it being interviewed a neighbor that
Well,
lives behind. He said they don't remember if he talked about dogs or not.
hmm. Yeah, well, that's just it. We didn't have follow-up
Yeah, no, there's one
about the
issue.
dog.
Yeah,
So therein lies the problem.
it's a female officer that interviewed.
Vargas, I believe it
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
Vargas.
David
Yeah, she
Vargas.
did a
Yeah.
horrible report, and she didn't really do much of a follow up either. So
No.
what's interesting, um, I forget, what is it? It was three of them and a female, right? But this is the female might have
Hmm.
been staying at a sorority house. But the issue, so the thing is one of the guys there says that it's kind of interesting. He gave a very specific 4:17 time.
Yes, I believe that was Simon.
So yeah, so he
Yeah,
he
I
says
believe that was
so he
Simon.
says that 4:17 he got up. I'm guessing it's some kind of digital clock that wasn't really specified how he knew a time, and he hears the dog barking. Now, what's interesting, see, this is the interesting thing, is that where this, to me, kind of tells me that it's a dog at their house that's barking. And
Uh-huh.
why do I say that? Well, this is the same house that made noise complaints against 11/22 at like 8 o'clock in the 8 o'clock in the evening, 8:30 in the evening. So
Right.
if this is the house that's calling at 8:30 in the evening, whatever days it was, it's been verified that
Right.
there were noise complaints that came from 1260 Walenta. Do you not think that they would call 911 about a dog barking for, 4:15,
Right.
4:20 in the morning for 50 minutes? They're not gonna
Yeah,
they're not gonna
I
call
would.
911? Absolutely. So why would they? So think about that logically. What would be the one reason? What would be the one reason that they would not call 911? Because it's their
Glad
dog.
you asked that. Right. It's your dog. And if it's like my dog, if I think there's like where we are, I live in rural PA, and it's not unheard of, even though I live in town, for coyotes to wander through, and bear, and
Yeah.
things like that. So if my dog was barking, that I might let my dog bark a little while to scare off whatever could be out there. Now, that said, noise would have traveled right up. I mean, the kind of noise that we heard, but you're not hearing that. Like DA says, you're not hearing that at that time. You're not hearing those screams. You're not, think about what you're not hearing. So, but you're
Right.
right. If it was your dog, you might let it bark, depending. So,
Right.
oh, here's a good. Now, Essie says I heard at some point that the Linda Lane footage, you can hear Jack say, "Put Murphy in the laundry room." Uh, you might be able to hear that. Has anybody else maybe heard that on the footage from Linda Lane?
I think I remember hearing something about that a bit. I don't know if it's definitive though.
Yeah, I don't know. If anybody knows, um, I don't know. And we're
Yeah,
speculating a little bit. We're speculating a little bit.
right. I'm
So,
not
but
really sure about that. Yeah.
that's just kind of interesting that if you can hear that, but again, you would have to know Jack's voice in order to be able to be certain. And the problem, as far as we know, at that time of the morning, I believe he said he was asleep.
But
So,
what would be, oh, so someone, I see the good question. What would be the reason the 1260 dogs were barking for 50 minutes? So we kind of, we kind of touched on it before. So let's say, um, maybe they had to go to the bathroom or whatever, and the owner or someone in that place let them out. I could tell you sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't leave my dog, just running around in the backyard without, I go out with him, but
right,
I go out
yeah,
all the
we
time
do the
at like
same thing.
five.
Yeah,
If
but
I
some people don't.
pretty much if I wake up, if I get up at like 4:30 in the morning to go to the bathroom, and I know my dog's gonna get woken up. I mean,
Right.
he's more of a protective type. He's a German Shepherd, and it's a little different. But now I got up, I went to the bathroom. I know he's gonna have to go, so I go out with him in the back. But
Right.
you can
Yeah.
think of a
So,
scenario where they're just letting the dogs out to go to the bathroom, and in that time, maybe they let the dogs out at 4:10 or something, something around there, and between 4:17 and 4:20, when whoever it was, whether Kohlberger or whoever, leaves the
mhm,
premise, we're pretty sure that someone left through the sliding glass doors, right? So if they
right.
were leaving through the sliding glass doors, means they were going towards the yard, which the corner touches 1260 Walenta. And if there are dogs out
Right.
there and there's no one, they would, as soon as someone, they would pick up on that in a second. They would hear someone walk, there was snow out there. They would hear him walking.
Right.
Of course, they would start
Right. So if
barking.
there was cleanup
So,
going on,
right. So absolutely that is kind of what a scenario that I don't think necessarily that anyone in 1260 Walenta had anything to do with anything that happened, but that would be a way, definitely. The dogs just were let out to go to the bathroom, or and it
right.
happened to be that someone was close, close to
Hmm.
they sent someone on the other property, and
Right.
that would make them bark.
Sure. We have a question. Twiz wanted to know. Yes, 1-1 is New York City police officer of 22 years. And so that is his profession. He does not represent the NYPD, but he does offer his expertise to the channel. So that is what he
Oh, so
does.
someone
And
asked about that?
yeah, Twiz did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Twiz
Yeah,
was asking.
I'm still active
You're
duty.
still
Yes.
there?
It's my second job. I guess my first job is now devil's advocate, but
Right, right. Okay. All right. So, did we want to move in to Luigi now? I know, Idaho 4 is still the hot
Sure.
thing, but also Luigi is heating up. We've had these suppression hearings the past couple weeks, and there's a lot going on there. And so, leading into why I'm of course going over one's profession is he had some things he wanted to go over tonight concerning the Luigi case. So I will let you take it away and you just tell me what you want me to put up on screen there.
Uh, sure. I mean, so we figured that we would go kind of, well, I wouldn't say back to the basics, but sort of in a way. I've mentioned Terry stops multiple times, and
Mhm.
you know, some of you here who are true crime fanatics and whatever, I'm sure you know what that is. But there are many people who are like, "What the hell? What the hell is he talking about? What is a Terry stop? What,
Oh, I like this. I like this. Look at that. 1-1. I
what's
love
that?
that. Tag team for the truth.
Can't see." Ah,
Robin and 1-1. I love that. Thank you. I love
thank you.
that.
Very nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, so I saw just on a side note. What is his name? What's his name? Twizzle. That's the guy that was on last night, right?
Yeah, Twizzle stick. Yeah, Twiz.
Twizzlestick. Yeah. So UX. So currently I'm a lieutenant and I work in Brooklyn. I cover an area of Brooklyn. So,
Yep.
um, so back to the Terry stop. Why? So Terry stops are extremely important. It has an effect on, you know, I would probably say thousands of cases all throughout the country every year. There's been numerous attempts to get to the Supreme Court and questioning Fourth Amendment rights, and we could spend probably 6 hours going through all the cases and going through all the case law and all that. But I wanted to give a little background on what a Terry stop is, where it comes from, what exactly what exactly it is, and then how is that relevant to the Luigi case, right? Um, so you could, I mean, I'm probably gonna, I will go through a little bit of this. I'll try to be relatively quick, and then we'll get some, if you guys have some questions and feedback. We're gonna do a few
Yeah,
different
we can
things. Just so
go
you
back
guys
and
know,
forth.
like to give you a little foreshadowing. We're going to play the 911 audio after again, and then we're going to play the body camera footage. At least I know I think it's around a 2-minute video or so. And I can briefly give you kind of my intake on it, or how I would respond to that,
Right.
based on the info that I have and what I see, and we'll talk about all that, because the one thing that you have to understand is, in general, so a Terry stop, it basically just real in general, it gives officers the ability to uh, hold someone, which is, it's basically called a stop question possible frisk. It's not an automatic frisk. If they have reason to believe a penal law, a felony or a penal law misdemeanor has been, is about to, or is in the near, kind of goes along with about to, or is like kind of in the process of being done. For the most part, if something is probably in the process of being done, you probably will not be at a Terry stop. You most likely will probably go right to probable cause.
Okay.
And we'll touch on that a little bit.
Okay.
So how do you know you're at probable cause? So before, if it gets a little confusing to people, a probable cause, if first, an officer's on scene, if they visibly see a crime going on, I visibly see a robbery happening in front of me
Mhm.
across the street.
Okay.
I see the perpetrator is running.
Mhm.
That is not a Terry stop. There's no investigation. I saw the robbery occur, and I'm in they call it what's called hot pursuit. And when the officer would make that stop, it would be a probable cause. That's
Right.
not a Terry stop. So if you have the evidence right at that moment, okay, the immediate, it's basically that, what would be another like a simple thing. I'm driving with my partner in I'll say a sector Adam. So usually precincts are broken up into different sectors,
Okay.
certain blocks you cover. So say I'm in sector Adam with my partner. We turn the corner, we go down a block, and I see a certain individual is in the process of breaking into a car, right? He's got some kind of like crowbar, and there's either I see him break glass, or I see glass around him on the floor. That's
Okay.
probable cause. That wouldn't
All
be a
right.
terror. I don't need to do an investigation to arrest him. Like I'm actually witnessing him doing the crime. So that's how that would work. Now, where things get a little confusing to people, I would say probably because of TV, is that many people are under the impression that you have to read people their Miranda rights uh, once you make an arrest. That is not true. That is incorrect. I've been involved in hundreds of arrests where we never had to I never had to Mirandize anyone.
Okay.
Who would Mirandize that person? So I will explain. What do you mean? Was I involved in a legal arrest? Did I? No.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's what you see on TV. Is
yes. So I
so
will.
so
I'll explain.
yeah.
It's basically very simple. It's it's a very simple formula. Custody versus interrogation equals Miranda. That's that's how that's how
Okay.
it was taught to me, and that is what the law is. So what does that mean? So now, you know, Mr. X, he's breaking into that car, right? Me, my
Mhm.
partner, and I, we stop him, we place him in handcuffs, we arrest him.
I'm going to stop you just a second,
Yeah,
one, because
sure.
you have trained officers.
Yes,
Yes. So you are coming at this from a place of not only experience but also instructing
yes.
officers, new
I've
officers training. Okay.
I've probably trained a few hundred officers.
Okay. So see, I want everyone to know that you're not just out here, spouting a bunch of
No,
horseshit.
no.
You've been doing this a long time and you've been
Yes,
teaching new officers for a long time.
yes.
So, okay. All right.
Right, and it is a big thing, because you need to make sure that you follow the law, and that
Of course.
if we, what I could tell you is that there's some excellent police work that is done, but they don't follow proper procedure, and
Right.
it's a shame. Like you may have an officer that happens to have amazing observational skills, or say following, see something not right about someone or whatever, stops that, just one thing leads to another, maybe even, gets a gun out of it, recovers a gun. But if you don't follow what the law is and the proper procedure, sure, it gets the gun's not going to be returned to the person, but it's kind of like, you're putting all the work in, and you might as well follow the rules correctly and follow the law correctly, so that these people who are out there that are looking to hurt people or cause damage will do the time, will get sentenced and will be found guilty. So I'm pretty sure, I don't think there's anyone with us or in the chat who, if you knew, without doubt, that a certain person committed a robbery or hurt someone or raped someone or whatever, you want them to get the full extent of the law, but it has to be followed. You have to follow the proper procedure and the proper search procedures and whatnot. So like in this situation, you have the guy breaking into the car. Why would I not need to Mirandize him? Well, I don't need to Mirandize him to ask him for to get his ID, to get his identification.
Okay.
So, and if he doesn't want to give me his name and whatnot, that's fine. He's already under arrest. So under arrest, what it's called search incidental to lawful arrest, SILA, I have to basically account for all of this individual's property.
Okay.
Plus, on top of that, I'm allowed to do a frisk for any weapons. But now, since this person's under arrest, by following with the law, I do have the right to search his pocket, pockets.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
He one is going to bring this around to how this applies to Luigi. Okay, so just this information is really, really important to understand first, and then we're going to apply it to Luigi's case.
Yeah.
But so
Just bear
we
with
need
us.
to understand exactly how this should look at first, and then we can apply it to Luigi's case. So that's why the information we're going over tonight, this is really, really important, especially in understanding any case. Any arrest, but especially in Luigi's case. So that's how, and we will bring it back around. So we could just indulge a little bit in
just bear with us.
That would be great, because it is a very, as you can already tell, this is it can be a complicated thing, and that's why we are extremely lucky to have one, because he has been doing this for a long time and can offer this perspective to us. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that we are going to apply it to Luigi's case, but that this is kind of a little bit of back information to a little bit of education, which, as anyone who watches this channel regularly knows, that is one of the things that we like to do, is educate people about the law as well as the cases themselves. So okay, go ahead.
Right. So let's get into the Terry versus Ohio, and I'll try to go through it as expedient as I can.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to bring that up on screen?
Yeah, you can if you want, the Wikipedia thing, the Terry versus Ohio.
Okay. That's not what I wanted.
I was gonna say that's not it.
That ain't it. All right. So, and I'm gonna share my screen, And there we go. Okay. So you will just, can you guys see that?
No. Oh, now I
There
can.
we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all
Okay.
right. So, Terry versus Ohio, this is 392 U.S. from 1968 was a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision in which the court ruled that it is constitutional for American police to stop and frisk a person they reasonably suspect to be armed and involved in a crime. Specifically, the decision held that a police officer does not violate the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution's prohibition and unreasonable searches and seizures when questioning someone, even though the officer lacks probable cause to arrest the person, so long as the police officer has a reasonable suspicion that the person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a crime. That's what I was talking to you guys about before. The
Okay.
court also ruled that the police officer may perform a quick surface search of the person's outer clothing for weapons if they have reasonable suspicion that the person stopped is armed and presently dangerous. This reasonable suspicion must be based on specific and articulable facts and not merely upon an officer's hunch. This permitted police action has subsequently been referred to, in short, as a stop and frisk, stop, question, and frisk, or simply a Terry stop, what I usually
Okay.
call it. The Terry standard was later extended to temporary detentions of persons and vehicles, known as traffic stops, stuff about that. The rationale behind the Supreme Court decision revolves around the notion that, as the opinion argues, the exclusionary rule has its limitations. According to the court, the meaning of the rule is to protect persons from unreasonable searches and seizures aimed at gathering evidence, not searches and seizures for other purposes, like prevention of crime or personal protection of police officers. Legal scholars have criticized this ruling, stating that people's constitutional right against the use of abusive police power has been sacrificed in favor of a police purported need for a workable tool short of probable cause to use in temporary investigatory detentions. Critics also state that it has led to negative legislation outcomes and permitting instances of racial profiling. So it is an ongoing battle back and forth, since, for a long time, people have tried to challenge. I'll go into this a little bit more. Stop and frisk is a practice in which a police officer stops a person suspected of involvement in a crime, briefly searches the person's clothing for weapons, and then questions the person, all without requiring the person's consent and without enough grounds to execute a lawful arrest. All major American police forces routinely employed the stop and frisk practice. It was historically viewed as a low visibility police procedure and was largely ignored by commentators and dealt with ambiguously by most courts. In the early 1960s, several major changes in American criminal law raised the issue's importance. In its 1961 decision, Mapp versus Ohio, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the exclusionary rule, which prevents the government from using evidence in criminal prosecutions if it had been illegally obtained, applies to the U.S. states as well as to the federal government. In 1966, the Supreme Court ruled in Miranda versus Arizona that the Fifth Amendment requires courts to suppress confessions that law enforcement personnel obtain without first providing certain specific legal warnings to an arrestee. Stop and frisk quickly became a popular topic for law review articles. Several cases forced state Supreme Courts to address the practice more directly, such as the Supreme Court of California's 1963 decision in People versus Mickelson. So this is the basic. It's a short thing of what actually happened, and then what was the actual Supreme Court's decision. All right. On October 31st, 1963, police officer Martin McFadden was on duty in downtown Cleveland, Ohio, when he noticed two men standing on a street corner. McFadden watched one of them, John W. Terry, walk down the street, look through a store window, then walk a short distance further before turning around and returning to where he had started, stopping to peer in the store window again on his way back. The other man, Richard Chilton, then repeated Terry's movements. As McFadden watched, the pair repeated this routine many times. A third man then joined them, and the three began walking down the street toward the store. McFadden suspected the men had been casing the store in preparation for robbing it, so he followed and confronted them. He asked their names, but they offered only non-committal, mumbling answers. McFadden then grabbed Terry and Chilton and frisked them, discovering they both had pistols in their jacket pockets. McFadden arrested Terry and Chilton for suspicion of carrying illegally concealed weapons. Both men were charged and tried in the Ohio Court of Common Pleas for Cuyahoga County. Terry's lawyer filed a motion to suppress the evidence of the discovered pistol, arguing McFadden's frisk had been a violation of Terry's Fourth Amendment rights, and that the pistol should be excluded from evidence under the exclusionary rule. The trial judge denied his motion on the basis that the stop and frisk was generally presumed legal, and Terry was convicted. He appealed to the Ohio District Court of Appeals, which affirmed his conviction, and then to the Supreme Court of Ohio, which dismissed his appeal. He then appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, which agreed to hear his case and granted the certiorari, however you say that word. That means that they heard the case. On June 10th, 1968, the U.S. Supreme Court issued an 8-1 decision against Terry that upheld the constitutionality of the stop and frisk procedure. As long as a police officer has a reasonable suspicion that the person is about to commit a crime, has committed a crime, or is in the process of committing a crime, and may be armed and presently dangerous. So that's basically
Okay.
that's basically the background, of the Terry stop. So I don't know if people have any questions, about that, but now, I mean, if you want to, I guess you can play. Do you have any questions, Robin, or if you want to?
No, not yet. Do you want to go ahead and play? Does anybody else have any questions for one about that? I see we're talking about peanut butter and Luigi's pocket. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want me to go ahead and play the 911?
Yeah. So let's play the 911 tape, and then we'll or audio, whatever, and then we'll talk about that.
Okay. So I have to find the right tab because I have to share my tab.
And this is important because there's different people saying, you have to make sure you have the facts. So there's some people saying that, oh, he got a call for loitering. There's a difference in whether the 911 call comes from, says that he's loitering, or just the officers on scene say he's loitering. It's a difference. It's not the same thing. So and I'll explain after you play the 911 call. We'll talk about the 911 call.
Okay. All right. So let me make sure you guys can see this. I got to add it to the stage, and then here we go. Make sure you guys let us know if you can hear this.
It's not really an emergency. I'm a manager at Plank Road McDonald's out here on the boulevard. Okay. And I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looked like the CEO shooter from New York. Okay. So they're just really upset, and they're like coming to me, and I was like, well, I can't approach him, No, of course not. All right, honey, what's your name? Okay. Is this individual still there? Yes, he's still in the back of our lobby by the bathroom. Let me run back to my security camera. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm trying to sit out and do like individual calm days with my managers, and like 6 customers walk up to me, and I was like, okay guys, I was like, I can't really do anything. But he's wearing a black sweater jacket with a medical mask and a tan khaki colored like beanie.
Okay. You said a black jacket?
A tan beanie.
Okay.
And like the blue medical mask.
Okay.
Oh, did it
Okay,
freeze?
that's it.
That you're
Is it? Oh no.
police officer?
No.
Or shot the CEO. He shot the CEO. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. White male?
Yeah. Well, he has his beanie pulled down, so the only thing you can see is his eyebrows, because I tried to Google it to try to calm them down a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, guys, it's kind of hard to tell with his eyes and his eyebrows. I was like, I don't know what to do here, guys.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
And then I tried to call the non-emergency number and it just kept ringing. So I was like,
Yeah, they don't always answer that. If they're on another line, they won't answer it. How about like height and weight and stuff? Is he taller?
sitting down.
Okay.
So when I was trying to like look into it, he's kind of like mid-height. And my registered lady, when I was like trying to be non-discreet about it, she's like frantic, and she's an older lady, and she's like, I just don't feel comfortable.
Oh my heavens.
I was like, I
I hope she's wrong, but it does happen, sadly enough. All right. How about weight? Does he look like he's heavy, thin?
He's wearing a big, thick hoodie, so I did. So he kind of just looks like mid-weight.
Okay.
But like with the hoodie on, it makes him look heavier because it's obviously cold.
Okay. Does he have a vehicle description, honey?
I don't know.
Okay, that's
like
okay.
I said, I'm sitting in the opposite corner of my lobby trying to sit down with my managers to have like one-on-one time with them.
Yes.
And everybody's just like running up to me. And
Okay.
I'm like, okay, guys. But it looks like he has either a CVS or a Walgreens bag in front of him. Yeah.
Okay. What is it doing?
I'll make all the bagels. Taking 4 bagels. One of them's no butter.
That's funny. The end of that's kind of funny.
Okay.
All right.
What's it about the end? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
So tell me. Before I give you my feedback, so now I just read to you, basically kind of about the Terry stuff. So now, so from that 911 call, Rob, you tell me, Robin, what is your opinion? What do you got?
well, my opinion is, okay, it was kind of cutting in and out for me. So tell
A little
me,
bit.
how did they ever decide that he's suspicious? I mean, this woman on the phone sounds, she's happy. She's not scared. She's not saying there's some creepy asshole, over here in the corner, doing a bunch
Well,
of weird
yeah.
stuff. It doesn't sound to me, I to me, now this I'm just hearing this woman, and it doesn't sound. I'm not sure if she is the one that actually. Like I said, it's cutting. My speaker was not cooperating, so it doesn't sound to me like she was the one that mainly kind of saw him, or
I think she, she might have taken a gander over and looked, but she wasn't the one that initially.
right,
So I took some notes on the call. So there were six people
right.
there were six people that went up to her that gave her the info. But what else? You gotta what else you feeling?
I, I,
And I could tell and then I'll tell you my analysis.
okay, yeah. I'm just now. I know we have a lot of the folks that follow this case in the chat, and I love that. So I'm going to get a little bit educated here. I'm sure, especially by you and others who have like super been focused on this case. To me, what is it? You're saying what six different people went up to the manager and
Yeah,
said, "Hey, we think this is him."
right.
I don't know. I'm just not confident that they they had any right to do the crap they did. But that because so my layman's that's how I feel.
All right. Does anyone else anyone in the chat want
Yeah.
to give any
Silence Unchained
questions?
said that she thinks it was all paid by the feds. Let's see. Hang on, let me
Well,
scroll up a little
that's
bit here.
yeah, that may be possible, but but specifically though, we're just talking about the 911 call right now.
Right, yeah, we're just gonna talk about the 911 call. Definitely not loitering. No, because he was eating, right? He had purchased food,
Right.
right?
Well, we're gonna watch the body camera in a minute. I just wanted to discuss the 911 call first,
Okay, okay,
and
so
then give you
go ahead.
and then give you my input. But I wanted to know what you thought, Robin. So
I
okay,
I just
so
don't, especially because if she's not the one that really witnessed this, I mean, I probably would have
well,
said something on the phone of, what is, as the dispatch, I did used to do some dispatching. Okay, I did
okay,
this many moons ago. I would have had a lot more questions like, well, is he causing a problem? Is he, yeah, I mean, because anybody can say, well, this dude looks like so and so. Oh, okay, but is he causing an issue? Is he harassing the other customers? Did he
right,
try to steal the food? Did he, whatever? As a dispatcher, I would have had a lot more questions for this person on the phone
yeah.
before I sent anybody out there.
Mhm. So that pretty much every precinct kind of has this probably throughout the country. Maybe NYPD, obviously we have the largest, one of definitely the largest police force in the United States.
Right.
So we have more manpower to do things. And what'll happen is someone is wanted for, possibly a certain crime or whatnot. They'll put out, we get, almost on a weekly basis, we get a whole list of pictures of people that are wanted for different crimes and whatnot.
Mhm.
Some of them, some of the people that the info we get might just be of a certain person that we know that's a recidivist that is known to commit burglaries in a certain area, or be involved, engage in violent activity in a certain area. So they might not have what's called an I card, or a probable cause warrant or whatnot at that time. So you don't have
Okay.
you don't have a reason necessarily to stop them, but to just be aware that they're out there, and keep an eye as you're driving around, patrolling around. If you see such a person in a certain area, you just be on the lookout. So with this call, the first thing right away off the bat, she says people that she works with approached her, said 6 different people, and they think that this might be the shooter of the CEO. So I would consider a shooting of anyone a violent crime, right? Correct? That
Sure.
well,
Yeah.
whether it's successful or not, someone wanted for a shooting, that's a violent crime. Second, they redacted. She gave her name, so she's a verified caller. That's a huge.
Right.
That's a very, very important part. It's called the 2-prong test. So she's a verified caller. Now, she gives very detailed information too, very specific. He's wearing a black jacket. This is like what I would do if I was getting info. I mean, we get most of we have a police radio, but we in New York we also have a department issued phone, so we can get all tons of info from that, and the actual like I could see the log, I could see the log of the rate from the dispatcher right on my phone, so I have it right there. But she says he's wearing a black jacket, he's got a tan beanie, blue medical mask.
Right.
You can kind of see his eyebrows a bit. He's got some kind of CVS Walgreens bag. I would say this is a pretty descriptive bag. I mean, pretty descriptive description. So this isn't a generic description. There's a white Hispanic male. This is a black male with blue jeans. This is pretty descriptive of what they have.
Right.
So getting this info right here of what came over 911. Now you arriving at the McDonald's and going in there, and you see this individual who matches this description and all this stuff. Okay. This would be a classic Terry stop. And this is why we did the background. This is why I wanted to talk a little bit on what a Terry stop was. This would be a Terry stop. The police had every right to approach Luigi. They even had the right to hold him for what they call reasonable time. That's the language that's used. Because I know people are going to ask, what the hell is reasonable time? What is that? Is it 5 minutes? Is it a half hour? They don't really specify, but it's listed as reasonable time. I would say, something as to this magnitude, someone that 6 different people are saying that a certain person matches the description of a possible shooter of a homicide or wanted for a crime. I would say probably within an hour. Probably, you try to do your due diligence and get stuff done as quick as you can. You don't want to hold someone now. What gets complicated with this is that now you're at a Terry stop. So if you're at a Terry stop, which is stop, question, and possible frisk, no, you're not free to leave. So this is where it gets confusing to people, and they're like, oh, well, why? Like, so the police are allowed to ask. They're allowed to ask questions about his name. They could ask. They can ask all different things to that magnitude, without, I guess you would call them identification type questions. Like basic info, things like that. He so they cannot start asking him. This is the simple thing. So he's not free to leave. They want to get further info. What the police cannot do, they cannot start to ask him about questions that have to do with anything, with the CEO, with the murder, with anything like that. Now, why? Why can I not? Because in order to do that, they would have to give him his Miranda rights. That's where the Miranda rights come into play. Because now you're asking him about, why, why was that? What was the big deal about Miranda? The whole point of it is that because they gave you the right, like you don't have to incriminate yourself, right? Like if you committed a crime or whatever, then let the police or detectives or whoever else, they have to prove it. They have to show it. Like you can't be forced to talk about it. You can willingly talk about it if you want, but you would have to waive your Miranda rights. That's when Miranda would have to be given. So again, the easy formula to go over, where what I basically said before, it's custody versus interrogation. That's all you have to remember. If you have custody plus interrogation, you have to give Miranda rights. It's very easy to remember. And what you have to remember, because the issue is that many people, due to TV or whatever, what they watch in the movies, they think that custody means that you're under arrest. No, it does not. If you're under arrest, yes, you are in custody, but you're also in custody at a Terry stop. So that's why I'm explaining it.
Okay, so there are different levels of custody. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes,
and I'm going so there's different levels of custody.
Right.
Okay,
And I'm gonna go over that after we watch the body camera video. I'm gonna go over that. So now, what happened is that the U.S. Supreme Court made the decision on the Terry stop, and that affects every state. But the states, other than specifically the Terry stop itself, they have their own somewhat little difference in laws and whatnot, and different levels of of engagement of the police. So we will go over, and I'll explain specifically what Pennsylvania has with Terry stops. When I guess it'll be good to watch the body camera now. You want to pull that up?
Okay. Yep. Let me pull that up here real quick. Oops. Wait a minute. I got to get to it.
Oh, so just while you're getting it, so you're saying this is a slam dunk, technically canceled case. So they do not have. No, they do have Terry stops, and they do have Terry stops, and the Terry stops are legal in all 50 states. It's just they have, other than the Terry stop, there are some different variations. But let us watch the body camera now of the police. I don't
Okay,
think he was in
allow me.
custody until like 17 minutes. Yeah. So,
Okay. Now,
well,
wait a minute.
just what? Yeah, go ahead.
Which link? Did you give me the link for that one?
I thought I did. Or no, I don't. Maybe I didn't give it to you. I think Lee had it. I thought he had it already.
That's okay. I found one. It's all
You
over the
got-
place, so
Okay, okay.
yeah. I'll just start it at the right place. So
Well,
bear with me.
yeah. Well, yeah. You can show as soon as the body camera shows, and just
Mangione. The
yeah.
body-worn camera footage has just been released. In it, you can see two officers. They enter the McDonald's. They walk over to Mangione, ask him to pull down his mask. They then ask him to identify himself. Mangione gives the name Mark Rosario. The police officers run that ID.
This isn't the one I wanted. Hang
No.
on a second.
Yeah.
No, let me get out of this one.
You could. It should be there. Yeah.
Yeah, let
I
me
thought
pull
you
it up.
had it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so did I, but you know, it
We'll
wouldn't
get
be
it. We'll get
devil's
it.
advocates if we didn't have, you know,
Yeah.
if we
What?
didn't have the snafu and I pulled up the wrong thing. I mean, you know.
Yes. So I will silver. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Silence Unchained. Yes. That does
Where
come.
is
I'm
it?
reading in the. I'm reading in the.
Yeah,
The chat
no.
there.
Where
Yeah.
did he? Do you know where he put that?
No, I do not know. I just thought you had it.
Yeah, so did I. And that is obviously not it. Hang on. Bear with me. Answer some
Yeah.
more questions. I'll find
Okay.
it.
Well, yeah. So I see Silence Unchained. You're saying, first of all, point out he's cornered. Yes, we'll go into that. That definitely comes into play. How the cops are positioned it can lead someone to feel that they are not free to leave, and then that would go to the Terry stop. That they're in. They jump to the stop and question, and again, once you
Here it
get
is.
to the stop and question, and possible frisk, now you're a Terry stop. You cannot ask questions about the crime that
No, that's not
you
it.
are investigating unless he is given his Miranda rights. So that is absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. I think I have it now. I think.
Well,
Now,
yeah, I
I
don't
gotta put it on
need
stage.
legal. Yeah, I am. Yeah, well, if we could watch the, if you get the, did you get it or no?
What? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it. Let
Okay,
me-
yeah, you could play it.
There we go. Okay. Now I gotta add it to the stage. There we go.
I think it's only like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
it's like 2 minutes. Yeah.
And then we'll talk. About it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's fine. It's on. So what's going on now? There's a 60-second buffer.
Right.
So it should show about a minute in, you'll hear audio, and that's because
Right.
from when the officer activates his body camera, it's always going to show 60 seconds back.
Okay. But for our purposes, I was just moving it up. a little.
Yeah. Because I know that was Lee brought that up. Like, was there something wrong with the audio or no? See that
Yes, sir. How you doing? Can you put your mask down real quick for me? Yeah, sure. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. What's your name? Mark. What is it? Mark. Mark? Yes, sir. Mark what? Rosario. Rosario? Someone called. They thought you were suspicious. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have your ID on you? Yes, sir. Thanks. Thought she looked like someone guilty to. You want to run the camera? Player 6, 2729 out of New Jersey. Romeo 6807 521 07982. Should come back to a Mark Rosiano.
all right? Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay,
All right.
yeah, that's it. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Okay,
All right.
okay.
So tell me what I mean, we don't have, there's a lot more that happened after that. I know. So we're kind of discussing what we saw, right there with the body camera. So what did you take? What did you feel?
I just, I guess it was fairly straightforward, but so in Pennsylvania, he does not have to give his correct name or anything, as I understand. Is that correct?
Well, so so the initial 911 call said that he's a suspicious male and he may be wanted for this
Right.
shooting, right, of a CO.
Right.
So really that's suspicious means nothing because he's not like that word shouldn't have that shouldn't have even been said. It should have just been like they think that they might have seen someone that matches the description. He's not really doing anything that's suspicious. So
No.
from my understanding, I know we don't see it in this video. What I know is that I believe he shows a receipt to the officers that he recently bought food, and I believe
Right.
I think he was only there around a half hour.
Right.
So at that moment, there's nothing suspicious about that.
No.
Now, when the officer first approaches him and he asks him his name, he can do that. He can ask him his name, but at that specific moment, Luigi doesn't, he doesn't have to answer. He can. So the officers are kind of going into. So this is the thing. They're kind of going in. They're basically at a Terry stop from the moment that they enter because it's a pretty good description. It's a violent crime. You have a verified caller.
Mm-hmm.
So they were at a Terry stop. They had they were within their means to stop him and hold him. But how they went about it and then all the nonsense that they added, after, you have to do things in the correct manner, in the correct way.
Right.
So now it comes up. Oh, well, he gave a what did he say? Mark Rosario. He gave a fake ID.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. All the officer said is that, oh, someone called saying you're suspicious. In Pennsylvania, if you're not, you know, if he doesn't know that there's an investigation going on, he doesn't need to give his real ID, right?
No, that's what I mean.
So that whole charge of giving the fake ID or whatever, that's all nonsense.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Now they don't necessarily have to tell him again. This is someone that may be wanted for a shooting. They don't have to tell him that, oh, we got a call that you might be the shooter wanting for, you don't, the officers don't need to tell him that info, because that would put them at undue risk. That could jeopardize their safety. What all they needed to, they could say, you know, if they wanted to try to get more accurate info, they, you know, people lie all the time to the police. This happens a lot. They could have just said, you know, we have, you know, there's an investigation going on into a few things or whatnot. You don't have to give him specific details. You don't have to tell him, and I wouldn't tell him. You're not going to tell if you think that you have an individual in front of you that might be wanted for a possible homicide or a shooting or a violent crime.
Hmm.
I'm not going to tell them that I think I have reason to believe that you're that person. I don't know. I haven't checked him yet. I don't know what he has on him, right? He
Right.
could have a weapon right in his waistband. Why would I jeopardize my safety? So you're not going to say, "Oh, you're wanted." You know, you're wanted for the shooting in New York of that CEO guy.
Right.
So they're not going to say that.
Because you don't even know if it's him.
Right.
You're just there for a suspicious person, right?
Well, they said suspicious. He's not really. Is he again? I don't know why. I don't know why she even said that. He's not suspicious. Suspicious
No.
really has nothing, like, you can forget that that's even there. He's not
Okay.
doing anything that's suspicious.
No.
But
That's yeah.
so I know some people are like, oh, they had no reason to stop him. He wasn't suspicious. He was eating. He showed a receipt. That is true, but that's not what the whole 911 call was. The 911 call wasn't that, oh, there's a guy that's just suspicious. Oh, there's a guy
Right.
that's
It was because
loitering.
he
The
looked like
911 call, yeah, part of it was that he was suspicious, but I don't even care about that part. The main part
okay.
was that 6 people are saying that he looks like a possible shooter from New York, and with a
Okay.
very, very detailed description of what he's wearing, a CVS bag he has with him. So they absolutely were at a Terry stop. But how
Okay.
they handled it was not correct. So I got some info here, specifically that relates to Pennsylvania
Okay.
and Terry stops, investigative, what they call investigative detentions. So Pennsylvania follows Terry versus Ohio very strictly, and in some ways more protectively than many states. So this is what I was telling you, that in different states there are different levels of engagement that the police have with you. So the Terry stop in itself may be the same, but there are other nuances and other things that go with it that they allow the states, I guess, to make their own decision on.
Okay.
So in Pennsylvania, officers do not have to tell you. So this is in Pennsylvania. Officers do not have to tell you that you're under investigation. In Pennsylvania, just like federally, Police do not have to say you're under investigation. They do not have to name a crime. They do not have to explain their reasonable suspicion on the spot. Courts only evaluate this after the fact in suppression hearings. Pennsylvania has 3 levels of police-citizen interaction. The PA courts clearly distinguish 3 levels. So the first level is called mere encounter, consensual. So you are free to leave. No suspicion is required. No ID is required. Officers often do not clarify this. So how you would get, so if you were in Pennsylvania and the police have you stopped for anything, and you ask, you could just ask and say, am I free to go? If they say you're free to go, you're at level 1. You're at mere encounter. Okay. Level 2 is what they call investigative detention, Terry stop. You're not free to leave. It requires reasonable suspicion by the officers. Officers do not need to say you're under investigation. Miranda is not required. Questions are allowed, but answers are not required. So police need specific articulable facts, not assumptions. So they have to have a specific, articulable fact that brought them to this Terry stop. So 6 people. So according to Pennsylvania, the 6 people could, that would be, are saying that, and they're identified. They're not anonymous, giving very specific, detailed clothing description and all that. That would be, and it's a violent crime. That would be enough. And as you see, clearly it says questions are allowed. So in Pennsylvania, they can question, and Miranda is not required, but Luigi is not required to answer. So that's very important. And then level 3 is custodial arrest, which requires probable cause, and Miranda applies before interrogation. I got a few other facts here. ID and stop and identity in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is not a stop and identify state. So what that means, this is what this means. During a Terry stop in PA, again, that's a stop and question, possible frisk.
Right, we're talking about Pennsylvania.
Right, this is about Pennsylvania, not New York.
Right,
Because this is where he was stopped.
Right.
You are not required to provide ID. You may refuse to answer questions, and you may state, I'm invoking my right to remain silent. An exception about the ID is if you're driving, you're required to show a driver's license. And then certain regulated activities, for example, hunting, fishing, certain things like that, where you would be required to show a license. The frisk rules in Pennsylvania. Officers may frisk only if they have reasonable suspicion you are armed and dangerous. In Pennsylvania, being armed alone is not enough. See, it says you have to be armed and considered dangerous. So that's a clear distinction. So you were taught. We brought this up.
We have do you want real quick?
Yeah.
This question. So if Mirandizing is not important, which it is important,
so
why did his superior get on to him about not doing that after they searched everything?
If Mirandizing was not important, why did the superior get on to him about not doing that after they searched everything? Because searching is different than a frisk. So we'll get into that.
Okay.
I'll address the searching in a second.
Okay,
So
okay, no problem.
there's a distinction between frisk and a search.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
um,
Okay,
right, and I'll get into that in this. I'll get into that
okay, okay.
in a second. So, uh, so now length and scope limits, very important in Pennsylvania. A Terry stop in Pennsylvania must be brief, least intrusive means, closely tied to the reason for the stop.
Okay.
Prolonging the stop to fish for evidence, run unrelated checks, pressure answers, can turn into an illegal detention or arrest. So they have to expedite and have to, you would have, so you have 6 people saying that this guy, this guy is, this is a guy that matches the description, or he matches the poster of shown of who's wanted for the murder
Okay.
in New York. They would have to, within a very quick period, they would have to, you know get they'd have to have something to verify that against. And if not, it's either you're going to arrest him, or he's let go. You can't just make up stuff. So
Right.
well, and so PA courts look at later. Courts will analyze officer testimony, body camera footage, dispatch logs, timeline, seconds matter, whether questioning exceeded the scope. What officer said to you matters far less than what they can justify later. That's very important, right?
Mhm.
If stopped in Pennsylvania, you can calmly say, "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" Again, if they say you're free to go, you're not at a Terry stop. I do not consent to any searches, and I'm choosing to remain silent. There's no requirement for officers to say you're under investigation. There's
Hmm.
no duty to tell you you're under investigation. No stop and identify law. We covered that. Reasonable suspicion is required. There's strong limits on frisk and scope. Courts scrutinize Terry stops closely. So that's basically in a nutshell the very specific info on Terry stops for Pennsylvania. So now there's a few things here. So
Okay.
why would the officer, when they were doing a search? Well, here's the thing: if you're searching, then he's under arrest. That's and if you're under arrest, right? Now, if you're going to question him about the crime, you got to give him Miranda warnings. It's a whole circle. It's a whole thing. So it sounds like some officers here either they jumped the gun, or they weren't, maybe they weren't sure exactly. How can they verify that, this is the guy that's wanted? Now, I have to be clear about that too, because I know it's going to be probably brought up. I say the guy that he was wanted. I'm just saying in general, the person who we see in the the person who we see in the video, who allegedly did the shooting, right?
Mhm.
Because we don't know that it was Luigi. There's a difference. There's a
Yeah.
difference if I have a wanted poster that says Luigi Mangione, right?
Right.
This is Luigi Mangione. He's wanted for murder. He's wanted for robbery. That's different than just saying, "Oh, I think this guy matches the video that I saw."
Right.
Right? Because you don't know who he is.
Right.
So, in actuality, they really, they were at a Terry stop, and what it'll come down to, how you can think about it. How would they verify? How would they verify it? I'm asking you. I like, what do you?
You're-
How would they
you're-
verify that this is
Oh,
the guy in
you're
the
asking
video?
me. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like, what would they do?
Okay, so they asked him for ID, but that's
Right.
still not going to help them, okay? Because we don't know the identity
Right.
of this shooter.
Right.
So you're going to have to start asking questions, and at that point, he doesn't have to answer, but he may feel like he has to.
Right.
That would be the only way but at that point, I would think again, because of everything you see on TV, if you're going to start questioning someone, you have to Mirandize them. But now,
You
this
don't.
is all good to know, people.
Yeah,
This
you
is all
don't.
good to know.
You
know
don't.
the laws in your state.
Right.
You don't have to answer. You
You
don't have
right.
to answer. You
They
can just
can
say,
question. Right. They can question. I just read it to you.
Right,
At a
right,
Terry stop
exactly.
at Terry stop in Pennsylvania. I just read it to you
Right.
guys. They can question him, but he does not
Right.
have to answer.
No.
He
But
does
that's
not
the
have to
assumption,
answer.
is that a
Now,
lot of people think that you have to answer,
right.
and you
You don't.
don't.
No, you don't. And it's
Okay.
on them to make, they have to prove, they have to get the probable cause that you're the person. And this is the issue. They don't have it. They didn't
No,
have it. They did not have
no.
it. So the
They had
problem is you can't use, and we've said this is a common, a term that we all know in the legal land of the law, fruits of the poisonous tree. You can't
right.
do a search of his bag
No,
and then say, oh, we found a 3D printed gun. We found a manifesto or whatever, we found this, we found that.
not even a manifesto. It's a
Right.
freaking journal.
Right. Journal. We found whatever you find, anything in
Right,
there.
anything.
It's that you can't go backwards. Like
No,
what they really had, I'm telling you from my perspective, they had definitely reason to stop him. They absolutely. Don't worry about I know the suspicious part of the 911 call means nothing, but the other part,
okay.
they definitely had reason to stop him. Do I think they had enough at that point to arrest him? No.
No.
They don't. No, I don't. What should have happened was they had him held for reasonable time. They should have contacted, whoever they had to whoever they contact that they're, in their jurisdiction or whatnot. And, it would have gone on to, other, whatever, maybe the FBI or whoever else, possibly doing some kind of surveillance. They did not have enough to arrest him. This whole thing, my whole main point of this whole thing, from my opinion. I know doesn't mean I'm accurate. I'm not a lawyer, but I have 22 years
Right.
of experience on the street in NYPD. Now, we do have some little variation and some differences in New York, which is why I wanted to specify the rules for Pennsylvania. But in
Right.
my opinion, in my due diligence, in my opinion of evaluating what I've seen, that was not a lawful arrest. And I do believe they had a lawful Terry stop. I do think it met all, the points and identified, it's not an anonymous caller. It passes that. It was a just very, very, descriptive, description of the clothing. It wasn't like, just a basic. They had every reason to approach him. They had every reason to stop him for a reasonable time.
Right.
He had
But
every
other than
reason.
that-
He had every reason, and he did not. And the law on his side, he did not have to answer their questions. I believe he showed a receipt or whatnot that he had got food there. He was not loitering.
Nope.
The only thing that could happen is if he was there for an extended period of time and the manager of the McDonald's said, I want this patron out of my store. That's a different situation. Then, the police arrive and they could say, well, the manager wants you to leave, and he would have to leave. Still not an arrest.
Right.
That's not an arrest. He would be given the opportunity to
Right.
leave. If he refuses, so at that moment, if he said no, if he said, someone's asking here, where
Yeah,
did they
I just put that up there.
where did they mess up from the Terry stop to unlawful arrest? So they didn't really mess up the Terry stop. The Terry stop was fine. Where they messed up was, basically just like jumping the gun and eventually like arresting him and then going through his bag, searching him.
Well,
That
I guess that's where, because they separated his property from him, right?
right.
So that they shouldn't have done that.
No.
Is that correct?
Yes. Once you're separating his property from him, now you're at a point of he's not free to go, and you're kind of safeguarding his property. So
it's like, okay, so that's when you get into the unlawful search.
right, and I'll get
seizure,
you right, and I'll explain even further from the 911 call that they gave. Right, again, is shooting. I ask you, I ask you, Robin, is shooting someone a violent crime?
Yes, sir.
Right. This was, again, it was an identified caller. Description was very, very descriptive. Violent offense alleged. They had every right to stop him. They had every right, if they felt indicative to do so, because they're at a Terry stop, they could have done a frisk on him, on his immediate, on around,
On his person.
on his person. Why? Because there you have so really 7 people, because it's 6 people plus the manager, right? So you got 7.
Right.
You got 7 people saying they think this person is wanted in a violent crime. Well, I don't want to I'm not putting my safety at jeopardy. You absolutely can do a frisk of this individual, and that would be upheld. But a frisk on his person, and a frisk means his outer belt area, clothing, the outer of his pockets, not his bag. His bag is off limits. You cannot check. You cannot. Start opening his bag and going through it. Now, I heard, I haven't seen like a specific thing from a breakdown from the court proceedings, but I know people were telling me that the officers, I believe, that transported him in the car, they were saying that that later on they were saying that they thought he had a bomb in his bag or whatever.
Yeah, that Christy Wasser, I believe
that
it was. She's the one that said,
right.
Oh, I wanted to look. Well, if you thought there was a freaking bomb in the bag, why would you not get everybody out of the restaurant? Okay.
Right.
And you're gonna put a bag that you suspect might have a bomb in it in your car?
Yeah, there was a bunch of bullshit. Right. And this is where it goes to where I said, where is it? Right here. What officers said matters far less than what they can justify later. And I think I'm just trying to think. I know it was a specific thing. I don't know. I don't remember where it is, but they can't just add in some random nonsense what they're basically doing, they're saying they thought there was a bomb in the bag because that's one of the exceptions of
Hmm.
the Fourth Amendment.
Right.
So again, if I had an identified caller or an identified person, like like in person, comes up to me and says, and I'm at a bus depot or I'm at a train station, and
Hmm.
says, that person right there with the red hat, I saw wires coming out of his black, that he has that black bag. I'm pretty sure he has a bomb or something in that bag. Now, I can search that bag.
Sure.
I don't need
That's
to have
different.
that's he's not under arrest. It's an exception. It's one of the exception rules. But I could explain that because
Right.
a bus depot, a train station, those kind of areas, you think of
Right.
like
They're known
I think of like
airport.
think of like a baseball stadium, a football stadium.
Sure.
There's a possibility of a massive amount of casualties. So
Of course.
that's why they have allowed that exception to the Fourth Amendment. But
Right.
that is not what occurred in this case.
No.
So yeah, Silence Unchained asks if the arrest is illegal. What did you say? So if the arrest is unlawful and the search is illegal, then all needs to be suppressed. Correct? Yes, I am in agreement. From what I have seen, unless there's some other big groundbreaking thing of evidence that has come out, what I have seen, in my opinion, the again the Terry stop, I feel, was absolutely legal. The Terry stop was legal, but then they didn't follow proper procedure and they messed it up.
I'm sorry,
So
but this is no, that's not the right one. This comment back here is cracking me up from Lucy Morningstar.
uh, what did you say?
For fuck's sake, don't give Twiz ideas. He's totally gonna go to a bus stop with fires hanging out of his bag just to get the attention. Sorry, that just struck me funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but no, that's not what occurred here. So they had no
No,
reason to separate him from his property.
no.
None.
So
I mean,
right. So
I,
what would
I
allow them? So what would allow them to go through? What would allow them to go through the bag would be if it was a lawful arrest, they would have to inventory all of the contents of the bag of his bag because it's his property, right? So
right,
in accordance of inventorying and going through his property, they come across a gun, they come across drugs, they come across whatever. Yes, then you could be charged with that stuff. But the key is it has to be a lawful arrest that led to
right,
that. Not
right.
not that the search of the
Yeah,
bag,
because
you're going
right,
backwards. They're going backwards.
and not only that, they didn't even do it before they left the restaurant.
Right.
Like, the guy was like, "Oh, I don't want to make a mess. I don't want to make a mess in the restaurant. I'll have a, you know." Well, sorry, you don't know that you have the right to take this dude with you because you don't know what's in the bag and what isn't.
Right. Was one so has Luigi been yeah, you say so has Luigi been illegally in custody for over a year? I would agree with that. I don't see how this arrest is legal. I don't.
I don't
So
either.
now to explain this, because I know there's going to be some people that are going to say, well, but what if what if he is the person? What if he did kill the CEO? What if it is him? They needed more info. They
Right.
didn't have enough.
No.
They weren't there. So yeah, he's at McDonald's and people think that he may look like the shooter. Again, this info should have been they should have held him for a brief time, and that info should have gone, to the FBI, to whoever, and they would have had to do surveillance and do further tracking. They did not have enough info at that moment to arrest because, again, they did not. You have to remember what they had. They didn't know who Luigi Mangione was, right?
Right.
This was not from a wanted poster. They're
No.
saying, oh, they think he matches the description of the person on the video. That is not
Right.
the same as saying Luigi Mangione is wanted for robbery. This is what
Right.
he looks like. That would be a different. That would be completely different. They were unaware of who he was. They didn't know his name. This, yeah, you know. So again, the Terry stop, I feel, was adequate, was legal, but then they went off the side rails and they didn't know how to handle it. So when they get to the point of, so the question earlier about his going through his bag and stuff like that, and the other officer saying, "Oh, you should give him, you should do Miranda warnings." Yeah, because now, it's you're gonna ask certain questions and whatnot, and you're taking his property. I mean, you're
Right.
at an arrest situation there by
Right.
going through that bag. You jumped to in PA. You jumped to that level 3. He's at an arrest point. Whether
Right.
whether he's in handcuffs at that moment or not
Right.
doesn't matter.
And
Once you start going through the bag,
you've got to arrest at that point. To me, I just, and now you got the whole federal thing, which
oh yeah,
now, okay, this is me. If I'm the judge, I could give a shit less about the federal government. If I knew as a judge that the arrest in another state was illegal, I'd be on the phone to that PA judge going, do the right fucking thing here. Do the right thing, rule on the freaking thing. Now I
right.
can't tell, make the judge do it or anything, but from one judge to another, I feel,
I know. I know.
I'd be like, you need to, step up
Right.
to the
And
plate
again,
and do
right.
the right thing.
And let's be clear. Let's be clear here. If I know there's the whole thing about the health industry and all that, but to me, there's a way you go about doing things. You can't just go around.
That's right.
And I understand. I know you say, well, he's responsible for killing so many people, and I get that. But there's a reason why we have certain laws and certain rules, and you have to do things the right way. If you just allow people to be, judge, jury, and executioner, what kind of lay of land do we have? And I understand the corruption and all the stuff that goes on with all the different cases, but it can't be it can't be a free for all. We have to. So by all means, if Luigi Mangione, if he is guilty, if he is the one that did it, you got to do it the right way. You got to get him the right way. And in this case, I don't believe that they did. I don't believe.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because if he is the killer, if he is the one, he should feel the full extent of the law. However, we can't go back in time, and I do feel that some of his rights were violated, and I know people look at it and they're like, what? So you mean to tell me a killer should be set free? If it means to set a standard of the law that, and I have 22. I'm still an active police officer. You have to follow the law. Things have to be done the right way. I try, when I train new officers, this is some of this stuff with the legal bulletins and very specific, like Terry stops and whatnot. I try to really like beat it down there, beat it into their head. This stuff is extremely important on how you
Mhm.
articulate and the order and the time of how you do things. So it's extremely important.
Right. So, and this is one of the, I know DA goes over this a lot, this question,
Yeah.
what do you do when protesting doesn't work? What do you do when petitions don't work? What do you do when you are feeling ignored? Because, and that's why I hope, Lee's absolutely right. I hope and pray in a way. I have a feeling that the PA judge, he should do away with this arrest.
Yes,
He
I
should.
do too. I
Do
do
I
too.
think that's going to happen? Probably not. And
Right.
I am no expert. I am no expert, people. So don't come at me. I'm not an expert. It should. The arrest should be thrown out.
Yeah.
So to me, yes, Luigi should be a free man. Now, that is something I know Lee is going to be covering, what happens, what could potentially happen. He has a lot of different things coming up with this case, so please do not despair that he's not going to be covering this, because he is.
Yeah.
So,
Right. He's got
and that was,
I well, just to jump in a second. Sorry, Robin. I think he's got does he have I think he's got a long form possible video
Yep.
coming soon with Allie, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're working out logistics as far as her schedule. I think she has 2 major cases, and it's kind of been like this thing that they want to get together to do this collaboration, especially when the suppression hearings are over, or even before that, depending on how how much longer they're going to go on, and we don't really know that yet. So that is something that's in the works with her, so that they can get together and go over all of that, because we all know how awesome Allie is, and so this is one of her the cases she is most interested in. So and when the 2 of those guys get together, they always rock it out. So super excited for that. So but we wanted you guys to have more understanding about the Terry stops, about kind of what was going on that day, from an insider kind of point of view. So it may have taken us a little while to get there, but
Yeah.
this is really important stuff for people to understand, not only for this case, but for anything. So anytime you are detained, it is very important for you to know your state laws, because Pennsylvania is right over the border from New York,
Right.
but there are certain things regarding this issue that are different, the same way
Yeah.
with any other state. So
Absolutely.
yep. So well, I hope you guys found that informative. I thank you guys for hanging in there. There's still 70 of you here. So wow, we went a little over 2 hours. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we can't thank you guys enough. And that's even without the boss. Don't tell him, he'll get upset. No, just kidding. Why are you guys on the road for 2 hours? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Did you have any parting thoughts, 1-1?
No, just to stay in there. We we got a lot of big things coming up. Don't any of the cases that I know Idaho is kind of like taking the front line with some of the new audio and new things coming out and
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
But don't forget, we got Mickey Steins, we got we're covering stuff on Charlie Kirk. We covered the list.
Right.
The list case is going to be huge. It's going to be
Oh, yeah.
very big. I highly recommend any of you to watch Gone Girls, and I think there's two,
Yeah,
right?
Gone
Gone
Girls.
Girls and Lost Girls.
Yep.
And
Uh,
I find it great. I actually grew up. I lived, whatever,
7 minutes, you said.
18 years before I went to college. I lived 7 minutes from this guy in Massapequa.
Wow. Yeah, that's Human. Yeah, yeah. So now, speaking of Idaho 4, we are working actively, as many of you know, on getting documents, doing FOIAs and that kind of thing. And so we do have, I put it in the chat, there is a link. We do have a GoFundMe to help with those costs, because I can't even tell you how many different things Lee put out this week.
Yeah.
Well, and last week too, to the various, to MPD, Idaho State Police. And so it all costs money. And of course, we don't know the exact amount they're going to request when when this stuff starts coming in. So if any, if you could give a little bit of support, that would be fantastic. We know it's kind of a bad time of year, but we, through some very generous donations, we have about $1,600 in the fund at the moment. As a lot of you know, Jules, where the most recent footage has, she was able to get that footage. It was not cheap. The footage that she got, it cost her over $900. So I know $1,600 is of course a lot of money, but what these places are asking, we don't know, So yeah, so any $2, it doesn't matter. Anything you can give is wonderful. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who have either donated to that, you've sent in a super chat, you like the video. There's free ways that you can help the channel. Like the video, share it, sub to the channel. Those are ways that just help more than I could ever possibly, tell you guys. So, but I hope you guys have
I'd like to
night.
jump in for a second there too. So just, obviously, we got this stuff going on with the GoFundMe, and Lee is busy as a bee writing letters. Some of us behind the scenes, Robin, myself included, a bunch of other people as well, trying to, we're interested in different things and whatnot. If there's something that comes across, your table, your lap, and something, something like just be like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. You're looking at a document or whatnot, or something just seems like really off, and you think that it's something worth writing a letter or getting further info about, then send an email to the Devil's, send an email and let him know what you're kind of thinking about. I mean, I just spoke to, I was, off stream talking to Robin and Lee, and we were, I know there's a million things in this case, but you don't know until you try. And we know a lot of this stuff. I know some people like, oh, they're gonna shit all over you. They're gonna say no. Well, the point is, we're gonna keep putting on the pressure. So one of the things we were just talking about, I'm going, it's from their document. They have a whole, I think it's a page or two, where Tisdale describes his whole kind of, his path that the car took that night on 11/13. And what I noticed right away, I don't see any unmarked car from 2:30 to 3:30 driving by on 1112 camera. And if you're gonna say, oh well, they redacted it, they took it away. Well, if they did that, then they have to let you know that there's something being redacted. If they
And
want
that's
to
why it's
hide, if
important.
they're gonna say, well, we don't want to show you what our unmarked car. Obviously, we don't need. They're not going to show us the plate, but we don't want you to see what the unmarked car is. Well, then there should be a black box. Then it
Right.
shouldn't be that the car is completely removed. They can't do that.
No,
That's
that's illegal.
yeah. That's
That's
you're now changing the real video. You
right.
can't do that.
And this is not only important for Idaho 4, okay? This is not something that we're thinking about for just this case, folks. So Lee's commitment and our whole team's commitment isn't just, and that's one of the reasons we cover more than just one case. This is to do with systemic corruption and, you know, doing things the right way to achieve justice. And we have to hold them accountable because mainstream media, there is no investigative journalism anymore. Guess what, folks? We're it. Okay. We're it. And if we don't do it, no one else is gonna. And people say, well, you're never gonna win. Well, if you don't try, if you know, so that's what this channel is about. That's what this community is about. You guys are absolutely amazing. We could not do this without you. And just again, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. And tomorrow night we'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. I don't think I guess Lee and Birdie are working as far as like when they're gonna get together again or whatever.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure
I think
when
it's a
that is.
solo. It's a solo show
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. So we're back here in the den tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern. So I'm sure we'll have no shortage of things to discuss regarding all the cases, or at least
Oh yeah.
3. Lee normally tries to do at least 3 a night, so we try. So, but again, thank you guys so much for coming out. We can't thank you enough. So,
Yeah. Have
good
a good
night,
night,
guys.
guys. Good night.